On their wedding night, the wife couldn't wait to bring her white moonlight back to their new home. The two of them drank and talked happily, then hugged each other and cried bitterly. Luke, do you remember this white shirt? It was our first battle uniform. It still has your scent on it, and I've never been able to bring myself to wash it. Look at the tattoo on my chest. SY is the abbreviation of your name. You will always be in my heart. The wife, with tear-filled eyes, pointed at me. Luke risked his life to force me to marry you for my happiness. He made our marriage possible. From now on, you must treat him like your own ancestor. I've always been fair. Tonight, he gets the first half of the night, and you get the second half. Unfortunately, less than 10 minutes later, before they even reached the finish line, my wife's first love, Luke Luo, got too excited and his old condition flared up, causing him to collapse. When he fell off the bed, his underwear was still hanging on his legs. Before I could even gloat, Amelia dragged me into the car. Luke is sick and needs someone to stay with him. I'll take the first half of the night, and you take the second half. Oh, without my consent, she just switched my second half of the night to someone else. I'm not his father, I have no obligation to take care of this good-for-nothing. Amelia hugged Luke Luo and gave me a disdainful look. Sullivan Jingluan, did you take the wrong medicine? In the past, if she had just furrowed her brows, would have felt so sorry for her. Now her eyebrows could crush 10 flies, and I still had the nerve to count how many times Luke Luo's eyelids twitched in a second. This fool, just say it straight. With such a soft and delicate wife, you're still pretending to be sick. Luke, you fainted because you have a burden on your heart. You have a moral burden, yet you dare to climb into my wife's bed on our wedding night in front of me. If there were no burdens, ugh. I dare not imagine. If you still want to complete the rest of the night's wedding night, take good care of him. Only when he completes the first half of the night can you have the second half. After Dr. Miller examined him thoroughly and couldn't explain the cause of Luke Luo's unconsciousness, he gave a generic diagnosis of anemia. Amelia pushed me onto the blood draw table with a righteous expression. I nearly bit my teeth to pieces. Luke Luo is your first love, not mine. Why should I donate blood for him? Amelia, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, disregarded her ladylike composure and shouted without any regard for her image. Luke Luo and I are innocent. Don't slander the purity of our relationship. We're almost at the doorstep, and you're still playing the innocent in front of me? Is this the Emperor's new clothes? Sullivan Jingluan, you're a grown man, can't you stop being so jealous? You eat at my house, live at my house, what's wrong with giving a little blood? Her words stung my pride. Back then, my family was poor, and it was her grandfather who sponsored me through university. Grandpa Clark was like a second father to me. So on his deathbed, he asked me to exchange his years of support for 10 chances to forgive Amelia, and I agreed without hesitation. I took over the nearly bankrupt Hayes Corporation and worked tirelessly to turn it from a small shop into the massive corporation it is today. Sullivan Jingluan, if you agree to donate blood for Luke Luo, it will repay Grandpa Clark's kindness. The words of refusal I had prepared swirled on my lips before I swallowed them back. When I was deeply in love with Amelia, she clung to my arm and pleaded. Sully, don't worry. I wouldn't dare use any of those 10 chances. I'll be a good wife to you, and we'll be happy together forever. But all of that was shattered when her first love, Luke Luo, returned. The first time, she used Grandpa Clark's kindness to force me to drink for Luke Luo until I vomited blood. The second time, Luke Luo scalded a little girl with hot water, and she forced me to kneel before the family and apologize on his behalf. The third time, Luke Luo's watch fell into the water, and she forced me to search for it in the freezing cold all night long. This was already the 5th time she had used her forgiveness. Well, better to use it all up sooner so I can escape her sooner. Just as I was about to nod, I suddenly vomited a mouthful of blood, remembering that I hadn't eaten for 2 days and nights while preparing for the wedding, and had been forced to drink a lot of alcohol, causing my stomach condition to flare up again. My face turned deathly pale as I hunched over, but Amelia was furious. Sullivan Jingluan, you're such a hypocrite. You agreed to donate blood for Luke, yet you're pretending to be sick to avoid it, disgusting. Luke is a medical student. He said donating blood would be very beneficial for your health. You're ungrateful, but at least don't pretend to be pitiful. She grabbed my arm and forced it onto the blood draw table. Draw it. Dr. Miller glanced at my pale lips and, out of medical ethics, tried to stop her. This patient is unwell and unsuitable for blood draw. The hospital has already requested blood from the blood bank, and it will arrive in 10 minutes. Amelia hesitated for a moment. Luke Luo, the effeminate man, called and only mentioned the pain, which made Amelia feel heartbroken. She panicked, pressing my arm tightly, her high-pitched voice echoing in my ears. Hurry up and draw it. Whatever it takes. The thick needle pierced my vein, and hot blood flowed out. My heart, which had been cold, felt even colder. Watching her hurry away, I dialed Attorney Bennett's number. Sullivan Jingluan, are you kidding me? You just got married yesterday, and now you want a divorce? You didn't get your hands on some girl and play with her, did you? I sighed bitterly. My own night was far from over, and I didn't know when it would end. Where would I go to play with someone else? Luke Luo, who needed a blood transfusion, was discharged from the hospital the next morning. But I, supposedly healthy, was diagnosed with gastric bleeding and had to stay in the hospital for a few days to recover. That night, I received a tearful distress call from Amelia. I didn't want to answer, but then I thought about it. We're still on the same household registration. Her sobs reminded me of when Grandpa Clark passed away, and she clung to me, sobbing uncontrollably. Sully, you're the only family I have left in this world. I eventually softened my heart and went to the place she mentioned, only to find out that Luke Luo had injured a man. I examined Amelia from head to toe, confirming she was unharmed, and sighed in relief. But before I could catch my breath, Amelia saw me and rushed over, gripping my hand tightly. Her palms were sweaty, probably from being so scared. But her next words completely changed my perception of her. Sully, you're here just in time. Luke was drunk and accidentally hurt this guy, but he's refusing to back down and wants to call the police for assault. Luke is unemployed and preparing for the civil service exam. He can't have a criminal record. Please, for my sake, help him out, okay? What? I stood there dumbfounded. So she was asking me to take the fall for her. My wife was asking me, for her sake, to help her ex-boyfriend get away with a crime. Before I could object, Officer Grant arrived at the scene. Amelia pleaded with me with her eyes and whispered softly in my ear. Can we use Grandpa's mercy and forgiveness one time? My teacher taught me from a young age to be grateful and keep my word, but I never thought I'd be morally blackmailed like this. Strangely, when Officer Grant asked who had injured the man, everyone present pointed at me. Including the man lying on the ground, holding his head. The cleaning lady nearby looked at me with sympathy and whispered in my ear. Young man, what did you do to offend them? They were playing truth or dare here earlier. The loser was that young man, and he said he wanted to send you to jail for a few days. Is that woman your wife? She initially opposed it, but later agreed. I suddenly felt a deep sorrow for my own weakness. You showed mercy to her, and she wanted your life. I protested and requested to view the surveillance footage. But the surveillance camera was broken, and they all claimed that Mrs. Wilson had hidden herself to avoid trouble. I had no defense and was taken away. Amelia gave me an apologetic glance. Sully, just think of it as a vacation. Take a few days to rest, and I'll find someone to get you out as soon as possible. Anger turned to calm. Amelia, aren't you afraid you'll regret this one day? Don't forget, Luke Luo dumped you at his engagement party. Amelia and Luke Luo were a campus romance. But after the Su family fell into decline and became a small shop, Luke Luo openly declared at the engagement banquet that they were mismatched and abandoned Amelia. Because of this, she sank into despair and decadence. It was Grandpa Clark who pleaded with me to help her. Amelia was beautiful, and I had secretly admired her for years. I came to her side without hesitation to help her through her darkest days. She once said she had chosen me for life and would never betray me. Do women really love playboys who come back after being rejected? Amelia, hit where it hurt, flew into a rage. Sullivan Jingluan, don't think that just because we're married, you can boss me around. Amelia, let's get a divorce. Her eyes widened in shock, innocent yet furious. Sullivan Jingluan, what do you think I am? Someone you can call and dismiss at will? It was she who betrayed our marriage first, it was she who loved someone else. Yet it seemed like I was the one who dumped her. I'll step aside. You two can be together. No need to bother dividing the night into halves anymore. Isn't that better? Amelia's face darkened, and she trembled as she pointed at me. Sullivan Jingluan, you deserve to go in there and reflect on your actions. Perhaps as punishment for my disobedience, Amelia didn't hire a lawyer for me and even forbade the Su family's legal team from contacting me. I spent over 20 days inside. When I came out, Amelia, unusually, came to pick me up. Husband, I'm sorry. You've suffered so much. Her unusual intimacy and attentiveness left me momentarily disoriented. Upon entering the house, the newly renovated home I had worked so hard on was completely transformed. My clothes were nowhere to be found in the bedroom, replaced by cheap, tacky items clearly purchased by Luke Luo. Sully, Dr. Miller said Luke's health is poor and he needs someone to take care of him, so I let him move in. Humph, did he take advantage of my absence to strip me of my rights to the latter half of the night as well? What, are you suggesting we have to divide the night into 2 shifts from now on? Amelia, I've already mentioned divorce. The agreement is drafted. As long as you sign it, I have no objections to whoever you choose to spend the latter half of the night with. Taking the divorce agreement from my hand, Amelia first looked disbelieving, then unexpectedly furious. Sullivan Jingluan, are you serious? Luke doesn't have much time left. I just want to be with him during his final days. Can't you show some compassion? The phone suddenly interrupted our argument. It was Mrs. Sullivan calling. She lives alone in the countryside, and every time I try to bring her here, she always says she doesn't want to disturb our young lives. Sully, no matter how busy you are, don't forget to spend time with Amy. She's going through a difficult time and needs someone to take care of her. Difficult time? Before I could process it, I heard Mrs. Sullivan speaking to Amelia. Amy, are you feeling unwell? Is the morning sickness severe? I felt as though I'd been struck by lightning, my mind going blank. They've been behind my back and even had a child. Amelia, explain this to me. Amelia's face turned pale. Sully, listen to me. She bit her lip, looking as if she were ready to die. I'm pregnant with Luke's child. He doesn't have much time left. The Hayes family is the last of its line. I can't let him die without an heir. So what am I to you, Amelia? A scapegoat? Amelia's eyes flashed with guilt and shame. Sully, calm down. It's just one more mouth to feed. The child will take the Sullivan surname, but nothing else will change. He'll call you Dad and me Mrs. Sullivan. We'll still be a family. Divorce him, Amelia. I couldn't stay another moment. I wanted to leave this filthy house as soon as possible. Sullivan Jingluan, why are you being so relentless? Luke doesn't have much time left. Let's consider this our final act of kindness for him. Once he's gone, I'll devote myself entirely to you. Sullivan Jingluan, whether you agree or not, I will give birth to this child. Consider this my one and only act of forgiveness. For a moment, I regretted accepting Grandpa Clark's financial support, which had led me into this miserable situation. Amelia, I will definitely divorce you. After the divorce, I'll still take care of you out of respect for Grandpa Clark. The property will be split evenly. As for your Hayes Corporation, I'll withdraw immediately and take nothing. This is the divorce agreement. If there are no issues, sign it and go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the divorce finalized as soon as possible. I didn't want to be tied to her name for another moment. I thought she would be happy, relieved to be rid of me. But she ran away. Sullivan Jingluan, marriage isn't a game. Think it over carefully. She fled in panic. The next day, while I was packing my belongings, I suddenly received a call. My mother had been hospitalized. Amelia had lied to my mother, telling her I wanted to divorce her, and my mother rushed over in a panic. On the way, there was a car accident, and Mrs. Sullivan was rushed into the ICU, fighting for her life. She was wrapped in bandages, with tubes everywhere. The woman who had once been like the sky protecting me was now just a tiny figure. In that moment, I felt utterly lost and overwhelmed with pain, unable to hold back the tears welling up in my eyes. I deserve to die, I really do. I stayed by her bedside in silence, silently praying to heaven to spare Mrs. Sullivan, willing to trade my own life for hers. My prayers seemed to work, and Mrs. Sullivan regained consciousness. She held my hand, her voice barely audible. Where's Amy? My heart ached unbearably, and I struggled to hold back my tears as I frantically called Amelia. The phone didn't ring, and I kept dialing. After countless attempts, someone finally answered. Sullivan Jingluan, are you done yet? Amelia's impatient voice came through the phone. I tried to hold back my sobs, but my voice trembled uncontrollably. My mother is dying. She wants to see you one last time. Can you please come right away? Amelia suddenly laughed softly. Sullivan Jingluan, yesterday you were so adamant about divorcing me, and now you're calling me to come see you. You even cursed your mother. How disgusting. When did you start playing these games with women, teasing them and then backing down? All I could see was Mrs. Sullivan's face growing paler by the second. I didn't care about my dignity anymore, I begged her. Amelia, I'm not lying. If you don't believe me, turn on the video now. I'm begging you, my mom can't wait any longer. Whatever you want, I'll agree to it. As long as you come, you can divorce me if you want, or stay if you don't. Please, please come see my mother one last time. Seeing how desperate I was, she finally relented. All right, I'll come right now. Hearing Amelia was coming, Mrs. Sullivan's eyes filled with hope. Mom won't be able to see our first grandson being born. She could only touch him once. I'll have to explain to your father in the afterlife. She stared at the hospital room door, waiting and hoping. Until finally, she couldn't speak anymore. She pointed at the door with her finger and slowly stopped breathing. When she passed away, her eyes were still open, staring fixedly at the door. I vomited blood and threw the phone to the ground. I knelt by Mrs. Sullivan's bedside, unable to move for a long time. I went through the funeral arrangements for Mrs. Sullivan in a numb state. On the day of the funeral, Amelia appeared. She was wearing a bright red dress, standing out starkly against the black and white world around her. I looked at her coldly and slapped her across the face. Get out. Don't defile my mother's memory. She looked helpless. I didn't know Mom was really. I thought you were lying to me. Shut up. You have no right to call her Mom. What were you doing? Why didn't you do something sooner? I didn't want to lose control or become someone I wasn't. Amelia lowered her head, hesitating to speak. Luke was in a bad mood, so he asked me to help him fold stars. My heart ached unbearably, but all I wanted to do was laugh at my own helplessness and pitifulness. Amelia, let's get a divorce. Amelia seemed like a different person, staying by my side every day and even cooking for me herself. After all these years together, it had always been me taking care of her. Life seemed to have returned to its original state, with her phone ringing occasionally, but she hung up decisively each time. Luke Luo's call came through to me. Sullivan Jingluan, let's talk. It was an abandoned factory. As soon as we stepped inside, we were knocked unconscious. When I woke up again, I found myself hanging off a cliff by the sea alongside Luke Luo. Luke Luo's eyes flashed with madness. Sullivan Jingluan, who is the person Amelia truly loves? In the distance, Amelia ran toward us like a madwoman. These two people, one is your first love, and the other is your husband. You have 1 minute to choose, you can only save one. I looked at her calmly, waiting for her decision. Seeing the scissors Vince had placed on the rope, she blurted out with red eyes. Luke Luo, I'll save Luke Luo. I suddenly laughed, realizing that the 6 years I had devoted to her were worth nothing. Tears were blown away by the wind. Sullivan Jingluan, I'll find a way to save you. Seeing Luke Luo's smug expression, I looked at Amelia with resolve. After this, the 10 chances I gave you are gone. Amelia, I owe the Clark family nothing. Saying that, I cut the rope and jumped off the cliff behind me. Don't. Amelia went mad. Miss Clark, the rescue team has been searching for 10 days. Even if Mr. Su somehow survived, his chances of survival are almost zero. Shut up. Amelia smashed the teacup in her hand. She refused to believe Sullivan Jingluan was dead as long as his body hadn't been found. She searched frantically for Sullivan Jingluan, her temper growing increasingly violent. Luke Luo stayed by her side, recalling the smug look in my eyes when we last faced off. Luke Luo, what's most precious is what you can't have. Tell me, does she love the dead or the living more? Luke Luo knew deep down that he had lost, yet he refused to admit it. Amy, Sullivan Jingluan is gone. I'm still here with you and the child. Amelia looked at him coldly. Luke Luo, my husband can only be Sullivan Jingluan. I promise to give you a child. Once the child is born, I will never see you again. Amelia kicked Luke Luo out of the wedding chamber and restored it to its original arrangement as she remembered it. She drank herself into a stupor every day, her heart feeling like a gaping hole. I fell off a cliff, thinking I was certain to die, but there was a fishing boat below that saved me. After lying in the hospital for a week, I finally regained consciousness. When I could get out of bed, Su Jiaro came looking for me. Her eyes were filled with the joy of finding something lost, but I closed my eyes and pretended to be asleep, not wanting to look at her. The next morning, she entered my hospital room carrying a bowl of steaming bone soup. I suddenly felt utterly disinterested. Amelia, my mother died because of you, and I died once too. 2 lives, that's more than enough to repay the Clark family's kindness. Let's get the divorce papers and end this once and for all. Amelia's tears welled up instantly. No, Sullivan Jingluan, I love you. I know you love me too. Don't say such heartbreaking words. I couldn't understand her way of thinking and couldn't help but sneer. Amelia, don't insult the word love. If you truly loved me, how could you sleep with another man in front of me? If you truly loved me, how could you draw my blood while I was sick and force me to take the blame for another man? How could you disregard my life and save someone else first? Your love is truly poisonous. Amelia hurriedly defended herself. I only felt sorry for Luke. The person I want to spend the rest of my life with is always you. But I don't want that, Amelia. Please, just let me go. If I had known this would be the outcome, I would have rather worked in a factory tightening screws than accept your family's help. I stared at her coldly, and her eyes instantly turned red. Sully, I specially made you some soup. Will you try it? No need. I find it disgusting. Amelia's tears rolled down her cheeks, her voice trembling slightly. Sully, give me one chance to make it up to you, please. If you truly want to make it up to me, sign the papers. Amelia stared at the 5 large characters on the divorce agreement, her heart nearly stopping, tears blurring her vision. No, you won't divorce me. This is fake. I won't sign. She snatched the divorce agreement and tore it into pieces. If you don't sign, I'll file for divorce. Then your precious first love will become everyone's mistress. Amelia's tears flowed like broken beads. Sullivan Jingluan, please don't divorce me. Seeing my cold indifference, she rushed to the bedside and grabbed a fruit knife, her eyes filled with despair. Sully, you're the only family I have left. If you don't want me either, there's no point in living. If you insist on divorcing me, I'll kill myself right here in front of you. Humph, I never expected this dramatic scene of crying, causing a scene, and threatening suicide to unfold before me. Sully, please, give me one last chance, just one. I didn't object, and she mistakenly thought I had agreed. Every day, she cooked porridge and brought it to me, staying by my side all day long. One afternoon, Luke Luo, whom I hadn't seen in a long time, appeared at the hospital, his eyes filled with hatred as he looked at me. Amelia stood beside me, looking torn, unsure of which side to take. Sullivan Jingluan, why are you still alive? Luke Luo rushed toward me wildly. It's all your fault. You ruined my civil service exam and had people come to arrest me. If I can't live, you won't either. I clenched my teeth and dodged him in pain. Amelia stood in front of me with her arms outstretched. Luke, calm down. Let's sit down and talk this out. Don't hurt Sully. Luke Luo glared at Amelia angrily and shook his head in disappointment. Amelia, you lied to me. You said you'd always be by my side, but you've been avoiding me all these days. Now you're standing on his side? What am I to you? Amelia desperately explained, Luke, Sullivan Jingluan is my husband. He's injured, and I can't abandon him. I've already promised to have your child. Can't you snap out of it and stop doing something so foolish? Amelia's words were like pouring oil on a fire, instantly enraging Luke Luo. He swung the knife in his hand and charged forward recklessly. Amelia stood frozen in shock. She hadn't expected Luke Luo to actually attack her. Having studied Taekwondo in the past, she kicked him to the ground the moment he charged forward. Luke Luo fell heavily to the ground, seemingly injuring his ribs, groaning in pain as he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Amelia's face turned pale as she stood there in distress. One was her husband, and the other was her first love whom she had loved deeply. She didn't want to see either of them hurt. Finally, she turned around and gave me an apologetic glance. Sully, Luke is injured. I'll take him to the hospital first. She rushed forward anxiously and picked up Luke Luo. Luke, are you okay? Watching them walk away together, I curled my lips in a mocking smile and called out to Amelia. What if I don't want to let him go? What if I say this is your last chance? If you leave, we're done for good. Amelia looked at Luke Luo with a conflicted expression, torn between two choices. Luke Luo closed his eyes and swayed slightly before collapsing weakly. Amelia immediately grew frantic and pleaded with me. Sully, I know you're a kind person. You wouldn't want to see someone get hurt. Luke was already sick, and now you've kicked him so hard. If something happens to him, you won't be able to escape responsibility. Sully, I'll be right back. I admit that in that moment, I envied Luke Luo for having someone who would always stay by his side and put him first. Fortunately, I didn't really believe Amelia, so I wasn't too disappointed. Amelia, this is your choice. I hope you never regret today's decision. Amelia didn't come back. While listening to Nurse Parker and the others chatting, she stayed by Luke Luo's side without leaving for a moment. I handled the discharge procedures myself and sent her a document via courier. I wondered what expression she would have when she saw the gift I sent her. Luke Luo finally fell into a deep sleep, and Amelia rubbed her temples as she walked out. She looked at the leather bag in her hands, as if there were some kind of monster inside. Finally, she nervously opened the bag. Inside was a broken necklace. It was the last birthday gift Mrs. Sullivan had given her before she died, but it had gone missing after she fell into the water at the age of 18. That year, she had accidentally fallen into the river. When she woke up, Luke Luo was by her side, but the necklace was nowhere to be found. She had assumed it had fallen into the river. How did Sullivan Jingluan have this necklace? An unbelievable thought suddenly flooded her mind, and she couldn't help but tremble slightly, desperate for the truth. She ran to the hospital, where Luke Luo, who had been sound asleep, was sneaking out the door. Without thinking, she followed him. She suddenly widened her eyes. The person in front of her was none other than Vince, the one who had kidnapped Luke Luo and Sullivan Jingluan last time. I want Sullivan Jingluan to disappear. The price is negotiable. Just like last time, dispose of him secretly and feed him to the sharks in the ocean. Vince demanded an exorbitant sum. I've heard that the woman you're with is the head of Hayes Corporation. This time, I want 10 million. If you refuse, I'll expose what happened before. If I can't have it, no one will. Luke Luo clenched his teeth. Fine, but if you mess this up again, I won't hesitate to send you in myself. Vince, having received a firm response, didn't rush to leave. In my opinion, since Amelia is so fond of you, why must you go to such lengths to eliminate Sullivan Jingluan? You don't understand. If he doesn't die, and Amelia finds out that the person who saved her back then was Sullivan Jingluan and not me, she'll leave me without a second thought. Only if Sullivan Jingluan is dead will this secret remain a secret forever. Amelia covered her mouth tightly, the scene before her eyes so ugly it made her tremble all over. It turned out that everything that had happened before was all Luke Luo's doing. He had deceived her into giving up Sullivan Jingluan herself. The guilt in her heart reached its peak, and she longed to be by Sullivan Jingluan's side immediately. But by the time she arrived at the hospital, Sullivan Jingluan had disappeared once again. Shenjiaro's heart felt like it had been plunged into an ice cellar. She finally understood why Sullivan Jingluan had been so resolute. Perhaps he thought she was in cahoots with Vince. When Luke Luo returned, he saw Shenjiaro standing at the hospital room door, and a flash of guilt crossed his eyes. Amy, why are you here so late? And you? Where have you been? Amelia stared at him intently, trying to find any trace of deception on his face. I just went to the restroom, Amy. I'm short on cash lately. Can you lend me some money? Amelia felt disappointed. She never imagined that the first love she had been so devoted to was a liar. She slapped Luke Luo twice in anger. Liar. Luke Luo, you're a big liar. Luke Luo stood there dumbfounded, his panic growing. Just as he was trembling with fear, he heard Amelia's icy voice. Luke Luo, it was Sullivan Jingluan who saved me when I fell into the water. Why did you take credit for it? You've hurt Sully time and time again. I won't let you get away with this. Seeing that everything had been exposed, Luke Luo knelt on the ground, clutching Shenjiaro's hand tightly. Amy, didn't you say you loved me the most? I didn't mean to deceive you. I just feared you would leave me. I truly love you. Amelia remained unmoved, coldly staring at the man kneeling before her, sobbing uncontrollably. Luke Luo, you love me? If you truly loved me, how could you deceive me for all these years? If you loved me, why did you abandon me alone at the engagement banquet? Do you know how humiliating that was for me? If you truly loved me, how could you bear to put me in such a difficult position time and again? Your love is too selfish. Luke Luo's eyes flashed with panic as he pleaded desperately. Amy, don't leave me like this. I'll change. I'll never deceive you again, okay? Amelia ruthlessly pushed his hand away, her voice filled with resolve. Luke Luo, you have no chance. All the harm you've caused Sullivan Jingluan, I'll make you pay for it. From today onward, we have nothing to do with each other. Behind her, Luke Luo's voice echoed in a broken scream. Amelia, do you think Sullivan Jingluan will come back to you like this? You're a heartless woman. You said you loved me so much, yet you abandoned me to be with someone else? If you truly loved Sullivan Jingluan, why did you give me hope in the first place? Luke Luo screamed hysterically, each word cutting deeper than the last. You slept with me in front of Sullivan Jingluan. How dare you think he'd want you, a dirty, used woman? He's divorcing you. This is all your own doing. Amelia couldn't believe Sullivan Jingluan would abandon her. She thought that if she repented sincerely, Sullivan Jingluan, being so kind and compassionate, would surely forgive her. She looked at the court summons and begged the lawyer for my address. As soon as Amelia entered the door, she blinked her innocent big eyes and clung tightly to my hand. Sullivan Jingluan, I was wrong. Please don't ignore me. I'm so scared. Only now do I realize that the person who jumped into the river to save me back then was you. All these years, I mistakenly thought you were Luke Luo, which is why I kept tolerating him. When you left, I finally realized that I had fallen deeply in love with you over the years. If this had happened before, hearing her say she loved me would have made me overjoyed. But now, it feels ironic. You love me, yet you slept with Luke Luo and even got pregnant with his child? Amelia, if you had even a shred of conscience, you wouldn't treat me this way. Amelia's face was pale, and she stammered, unable to find the words. Sullivan Jingluan, please forgive me this once, okay? Just pretend I'm marrying you as a second wife, can't you? Don't abandon me. If even you don't want me, I'll have no family left in this world. She covered her face and sobbed. Amelia, for Luke Luo, you deceived me, betrayed me, abandoned me time and again, and even caused my mother's death. Tell me, how can I forgive you? From now on, don't come looking for me anymore. I steeled my resolve and pushed her out. Sullivan Jingluan, I'll go get an abortion right now. From now on, I'll only have children for you. How many do you want? I'll have as many as you want, okay? Amelia held on to the door, blocking me from closing it. But Amelia, I despise you. Seeing you now makes me so sick I can't eat. How can I possibly reconcile with you? She collapsed on the ground in despair, muttering to herself. I'm sorry, Sullivan Jingluan. Amelia vented all her anger on Luke Luo, taking brutal revenge on him. The two of them completely broke up. Luke Luo posted the messages Amelia sent him about her affair during their marriage, along with their intimate photos, online. The online backlash was intense. After I left, Hayes Corporation, which was already on the brink of collapse, was swiftly taken over by our competitors overnight. Out of gratitude to Grandpa Clark, I couldn't bring myself to destroy them completely, but I could salvage some of the Su family's resources. Most of the Su family's clients were now under my control. Amelia wasn't about to back down either. She immediately stopped Luke Luo's treatment. He didn't last 2 months before he died. Devastated by this blow, Amelia was overwhelmed and started drinking every day. When she was drunk, she would call me. Sullivan Jingluan, if only I hadn't made a mistake back then. Sullivan Jingluan, I ruined my grandfather's life's work. I didn't know how to cherish what we had and destroyed our happy marriage. Sullivan Jingluan, please look back at me. I'll change. I'll be good from now on. I'll be loyal to you. Please. Amelia, I don't owe you anything. Don't ever call me again. It's disgusting. I completely blocked all her contact information. Many years later, I heard from others that she had married an older man named Mr. Thompson. She hoped he could save Hayes Corporation, but the greedy businessmen completely took over the Sue family business and then abandoned her. She couldn't bear the blow, lost her mind, and was sent to Pine Grove Sanatorium. I couldn't help but remain silent for a long time. She had once been the person I cherished most in my heart. But, just as I was wallowing in my emotions, a friend called to say they had seen I'd been single for so long and wanted to introduce me to a good girl. I should start my own new life too. 9 Amelia's side story. Though my parents died young, my grandfather was very kind to me, and I grew up as a spoiled rich girl. The only setback I ever faced was when my fiancé suddenly ran off at the engagement banquet. The proud and stubborn me was cast into hell, but Sullivan Jingluan, whom my grandfather sponsored, came into my life. Sullivan Jingluan liked me, his eyes betrayed his feelings. With him by my side, life was peaceful, and he treated me well. But I still felt empty inside, as if something was missing. Until one day, I suddenly realized that what was missing between Sullivan Jingluan and me was passion and love. The one I still longed for was the man who had run away, Luke Luo. It was like an obsession. When Luke Luo returned and simply said, "I'm sorry," I forgave him without hesitation. He claimed he was afraid of marriage, which is why he fled at the last moment. But he had been thinking about me all these years. Under the intense passion, I couldn't help but give in. Later, I even became pregnant with his child. While enjoying Sullivan Jingluan's kindness toward me, I was also addicted to the secret excitement of my relationship with Luke Luo. Until our wedding night, looking into Luke Luo's loving eyes, I couldn't resist bringing him home. Time and again, I hurt Sullivan Jingluan for him, even going so far as to send Sullivan Jingluan to prison just to make him smile. Sullivan Jingluan's Mrs. Sullivan was involved in a car accident out of concern for us. I intended to visit her, but Luke Luo stopped me at the door. He said that one of the items on his bucket list was to fold stars. Seeing his pitiful state, I stayed, but I never expected Mrs. Sullivan to pass away so soon. Sullivan Jingluan finally snapped. He demanded a divorce and even handed me the divorce papers. Only then did I realize he was serious. But the thought of leaving him filled my heart with unbearable sorrow. But I knew he was a man of honor, and with the 10 chances my grandfather had secured for me, I could still keep Sullivan Jingluan by my side. But when I received Vince's call, I was completely stunned and terrified. Once again, I abandoned Sullivan Jingluan. One mistake led to another, until it was too late to turn back. Looking into Sullivan Jingluan's disappointed and resolute eyes, I felt a deep sense of fear and dread. In that moment, I realized that over time, I had truly fallen in love with her. But she would never forgive me again. The Sue family was my grandfather's life's work, and I didn't want it to be completely destroyed, so I married Mr. Thompson. He promised to help the Sue family. But he broke his promise. Only then did I realize how precious Sullivan Jingluan was in this world. But I betrayed him. I deserved it. I brought it upon myself. They sent me to Pine Grove Sanatorium, but I wasn't mentally ill. The only thing I can't let go of, the only obstacle I can't overcome, how could I have lost Sullivan Jingluan? If only time could turn back, I would cherish him dearly and live happily ever after with him. Alas, nothing will ever be the same again.